Hello and welcome to Multiple Sclerosis, the Owner's Manual. My name's John Laverty, and I've had MS for over 25 years. What I'd like to talk about in this video is vitamin D, and I'm doing so from the friendly confines of my back deck. And I'm out here because I'm sitting in at least partial sun, and when I finish with this video, I'm going to go over to that side of the deck. I'm going to wear my sunglasses, which I don't get to do that often, and I'm going to sit in more full sunlight. Now, the reason I bring up sunlight is vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin. The way you get vitamin D, at least mainly, is through exposure to sunlight. About 15 minutes a day has been noted as the amount of time one needs to spend in the sun to get the appropriate amount of vitamin D. It is something that we all need, and it is something that, depending on which sources you go to, there seems to be a fairly large percentage of us, particularly in North America, that do not receive enough vitamin D. It's very difficult to get vitamin D through diet, so really the only way you can get it is to be in the sunshine or to take a supplement. So here's my story. When I was diagnosed with MS in 2009, my MS specialist said, well, we need to do some blood work just to check a couple of things. And as I was exiting the examination room, he said, you know what, we might go ahead and do a vitamin D check just to see what your vitamin D level is. Well, okay, whatever. So I went and had my blood drawn, and a week later I got the results of my blood test, and I had virtually no vitamin D in my system. So I started doing some reading about vitamin D, particularly as it relates to MS, and there is a strong correlation between low vitamin D levels and multiple sclerosis. The farther away from the equator that you get, the less sunlight you get. And interestingly enough, the farther away from the equator you get, the higher incidence of multiple sclerosis. If we look at North America, there is a higher incidence of multiple sclerosis per capita in Canada than in, say, Mexico. Part of that has to be related to vitamin D. Now, this correlation that is referred to in the literature is only that, a correlation. So anyway, I go to see my doctor. They check the blood sample that they took, and sure enough, I had virtually no vitamin D. Now, I had been experiencing symptoms for about 15 years, and I was left to wonder, how many of those 15 years had I been vitamin D deficient? Well, I'm never going to know that. It was frustrating, and actually it made me a little angry that none of my neurologists that I had seen had bothered to check my vitamin D level. Now, granted, today they know more about vitamin D than they did 10, 15, 20 years ago, but it's still frustrating to think that that was something that could have been contributing to my multiple sclerosis. So after the doctor saw that I had a very low vitamin D level, he gave me a prescription for a mega dose of vitamin D, which he put me on for a month. So after that, he did another blood test, and my blood level of vitamin D went back up into a normal range. Since then, I've done two things. First, I take a vitamin D supplement every day. Now, this is just what I do, and you should check with your doctor if you decide to take vitamin D, but the daily dose recommendation is fairly low in my opinion. So I take considerably more than the recommended daily allowance. Second thing I do is every time I get my blood drawn, either by my general practitioner or by my MS specialist, I make certain that they do a vitamin D test. Since my diagnosis, I check my vitamin D at least twice a year, and I'm happy to say that with the supplement that I take, despite the fact that I live in a very cold and dark place where there is virtually no sunlight most of the year, my vitamin D level is normal. Checking your vitamin D level is an easy thing to do. There seems to be a strong correlation between low vitamin D and the incidence of multiple sclerosis. And if you have a low vitamin D level, it is quite easy to fix, at least based on my experience. And the good news is, vitamin D is cheap. We're talking pennies a day. Now, there are not many things you can do with multiple sclerosis to deal with what might be causing it or what is contributing to it. There are not many things. But vitamin D, that's an easy one. And the science says there is a strong correlation between low vitamin D and the incidence of multiple sclerosis. Well, that's it for today. I'm going to go sit on the deck over there where there is more sunshine and get my daily dose of the sunshine vitamin.